Good afternoon, good people. I'd like to welcome you to the inaugural episode of the Literary Dummies Book Review Show, starring your host, Alex, and my co-host,
Kevin.
You can follow us on Twitter at fudge_bars and Instagram at fudge_bars with a Z.
And me on Twitter at Scotty Get Down, and Instagram at Scotty Get Down 1 and down with 2 N's.
We're here to bring you a new type of literary critique. Two young black men from Baltimore City. Well, kind of young. These days, 30 feel old. Because y'all trying to...
I'm from the county.
Yeah, you is from the county. Yeah.
East Baltimore.
County.
Black Raven.
County.
Right on the line. City line, county line.
And right. And I'm from West Baltimore, Longwood and Poplar Grove. I live in Howard County, though. Now, I'm not gonna lie. But I ain't lived like in Howard County that long. For like 7 years, but it ain't compared my whole upbringing different though. I mean, we're not gonna have this argument. But we're here to bring you a new form of literary critique. We will be reading all types of books from new indie authors on Amazon, popular books. I'm most excited to go through some of the classics that I probably just skipped over in high school. What are you excited to be reading?
I'm more of a fantasy guy. I'm a big comic book guy, so I have like probably 500 comic books. So fantasy, science fiction, conspiracy books, thrillers, scary movies, scary books, stuff like that.
See, I tend to read more poetry, but we probably won't review as much poetry on this because for me, you just gotta take what poems give you, and it's kind of hard to just review that with two people. But we might have some interesting conversations about poems some days. You might get a few movie reviews if books had popular movie adaptations like some of these YA novels. So to get to know us a little bit more, we're gonna give you a piece of our tastes as far as some of our favorite characters, some of our favorite books, some of our most hated characters, some of our most hated books. Hope you enjoy it. And click that subscribe button and that like and share all over, sure. So what are
Some of my favorite books are The Kite Runner, which is a novel set in Afghanistan. It kind of has a Princeton of Harper feel with Amir, the rich kid, and Hassan, the really, really poor kid. And a lot of tumultuous things happen to Hassan, and Amir is not there for him. And then it flash forwards to later in life where you see where they connect again. And Star Wars Sacrifice is a book that's based on the 3 newest movies that came out, but it's completely different from the movies, and it resonated with me as a teenager because of the main character being a teenager and having the same attitude as me. And third one is The Teeth of the Tiger. Teeth of the Tiger is a Jack Ryan book, is a CIA operative book, but it's about the new generation of CIA operatives and military folk.
See, I ain't read none of them books. I've heard of The Kite Runner. I saw the movie as like a teenager. I remember the rape scene from when they was kids and your homie ain't look out for him. That was whack. And then I know there's like a Osama bin Laden-esque character at the end. So I'm certain some of these Middle Eastern wars and the Taliban had a lot of politics to play. Not only just them being poor versus rich. But yeah, I haven't even seen all the new Star Wars movies, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not crazy. I like Yoda.
They were okay.
Yoda and Chewbacca. It's not a Star Wars show. You're not about to nerd out on this. I'm gonna catch it.
I said they okay. I wasn't going farther with that. I was about to though.
But I mean, you are a Star Wars nerd, right?
Yes.
So you are well read in the novels and the comics and unnecessary wild Star Wars thing. Pretty cool, I guess. I ain't never read it. I don't even know where to start. So hey, do you? I can't. We're not here to judge your reading preferences unless you're reading something that's like super trash, like Twilight. Twilight trash.
Oh,
we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Some of my favorite books: The Autobiography of Malcolm X. That's one of the few books that I've reread often. Like since I want to say middle school. I must have read it in middle school, high school, and once in college. Malcolm X. Google, you should know who he is. Don't fall for the bait that he just hated white people, even though he did for a minute. But I mean, who hasn't? I'm sorry. shit. Sometimes it's how it is. But yeah, it's a great autobiography. You know, it'll come in top 10 on almost any black book list. Should come in top 10 on any book list. But we'll have a canon conversation one day. Y'all not really ready for that. My second favorite book, The Outsiders, man. Set in like that old greaser, rockabilly, Midwestern era, the drive-in movies and all of that, like American Graffiti. You got the gang of poor white kids, the greasers, who parents is dead or just don't care about them, and they automatically got beef with the rich white kids because even if it ain't no black people around, white people gonna find some shit to beef about. And when they ain't black people or people of color around, they're gonna just say fuck these niggas because they poor. A lot of shit goes down. A lot of regrettable things happen. A lot of self-defense turning into pain happens. But at the end of the day, you gonna remember my man's Pony Boy and Johnny last conversation. Stay golden, shorty. And if you've seen the movie, it's an 80s all-star cast, Matt Dillon, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Ralph Macchio. Before they was even really out there like that, Patrick Swayze. They did it for Johnny. Read it, see the rumble. Amazing. And I would say my third favorite book, I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a tie, and I'm sorry to do this, but there's just two books that I think people should know about. One, Lord of the Flies, is a book I had to read in high school.
That's a good one.
It was one of the first books where a character's death hit my heart. R.I.P. Piggy, not R.I.P. Simon, because you can't run down on a group of scared ass niggas in the middle of the night talking about, yo, y'all been off and like y'all out here on the island by yourself, you like 14. There's a bunch of kids shipwrecked on the island at 14, just boys. Some wild shit bound to happen.
They had to kill Peggy like that though.
Yeah, they ain't had to kill my man Piggy like that, yo. R.I.P. Piggy, yo. Fuck that nigga Jack. And the tie is actually a football book named The Way We Play the Game. It's another one of the few books that I have read more than once. It is set in some of the earliest days of football. Like, forward passes weren't even legal yet.
Like the soft helmets.
Kinda even before helmets. Like, niggas were still wearing stockings.
I didn't know they didn't wear helmets.
Yes, in the early days of football, no, you didn't wear helmets. And it's like about a high school team and just all the stuff they go through. That's one of my favorite books. There's a particular scene in it that we will speak on later that is why, a huge reason why I love that book. What are some of your, well, I'll go ahead and say, I want to start this one. Some of our least favorite books, you know. Twilight, I'm taking shots. And it's kind of wrong, I guess, to say Twilight because I didn't read Twilight.
The hell is the least favorite book?
Because I got 13 pages in and it said, nah, yo, I'm good.
It was True Love. Go ahead. What is True Love?
No, it wasn't, yo. Nobody was really in love with nobody, yo.
He smelled her and loved her, never talked to any other woman in the whole book series.
This was trash, yo. And let's talk about something in that series. Did whatever part y'all talking about where Edward's not in Bella life and for like 4 chapters the pages is just blank, that is not fire. That is a writer saying, I ain't got shit to write.
That was original.
No, it is not.
Who just has a blank book? All blank chapters.
There's literally books on Amazon that's like stuff that women say that makes sense, and men just made shitty books that's completely blank for like 500 pages that have sold. No, yo, she ain't have shit to come up with.
He was gone. It was a traumatic event. There was nothing to be said. That's when you're supposed to feel it.
He was gone, but he didn't die. Niggas die every day, B.
Every time you turned the page, you felt that he wasn't there. And
how many of them pages did you turn, yo? Before you realized what was going on, yo. I know you turned like 4.
I turned like 2, and I was like,
see?
Do I have, there's something wrong with my book? What's going on? But then I felt it afterwards. I understood.
Alright, yeah. Twilight, I think that was my second least favorite book. And I'm just doing this Oh no, was that the first? Yeah, that's the first.
That's the first.
My second, I'm taking shots. The Great fucking Gatsby.
I agree with that.
And I never read The Great Gatsby in high school. So I ended up reading not too long ago just on some, I want to see what this about. I had watched the movie. I know about F. Scott Fitzgerald. But, you know, I ain't read the book. That shit was trash. All that shit happened because of the patriarchy, yo. All that fake love shit. This nigga Jay Gatsby really was mad that Shorty was like, yo, I ain't seen you in 40 years, yo. I've loved it. Obviously not 40, but I ain't seen you in like 15 years, yes, sir. Fell in love with somebody else. My bad, I thought she was dead, yo. And he tripping. And the only character that I liked was Jay Gatsby dad. And he was only in there for 5 minutes and people try to shit on him for like, yo, I got something else to do. I might not make the funeral. Nigga, his son left him. All his dad ever said was, yo, at least he got what he said he wanted out of life. Can't be mad at him for that, yo. All I feel like is, yo, if women could have like made their own choices for real in the 1920s, yo, shit would have been completely different. Like
Absolutely.
But they was just like, you know, they was wilding, yo. Niggas was wilding. They still wilding. And my third most hated book, I don't really hate a lot of books because I just be reading, but I'm gonna say The Scarlet Letter solely because it's just so many pages of describing nothing. I don't need.
She was what was she? A hoe.
But the pastor, and then it's the whole humans versus nature. This nigga wasn't really fighting nature.
That was the whole book. She is a hoe.
Hoe. So you gonna walk around with this A, but the pastor just, yo, it's still like that. I'm just saying. But Hawthorne was doing too much with that. Like, nah, I don't show no. And Pearl, yo, she was trash. I don't be understanding how some of this should be hitting for some of y'all, yo. But I mean, I still got respect for Hester Prenshaw. You had to go through a lot you shouldn't have had to go through. That pastor was a bitch. Fuck that whole, like, he just was a bitch.
My least favorite books. The first one I'm going to say is The Clearing. It's a WW2 book, and it starts off so good. It's about a guy who goes to the war, kills a lot of people in the war, comes back, he still has his whole family supporting him, and then you think something big is going to happen because he basically runs away and loses his mind, per se. Nothing happens. His brother finds him, and he gets a good job. His mind is still messed up, but he gets a good job. Book over. Nothing happens. In the whole book, even when he's killing people, it's literally will say something like, and he shot him. Scene over. That's it. So yes, there was the descriptions of everything in that book were bad. The suspense was only suspenseful for 3 sentences. Awful. I don't recommend that book at all. The God of Small Things is about like an Indian caste system. So it tells you each member of the cast and the main characters and whatnot. Nothing happens that's significant in this book at all. This is supposed to be somewhat of a fiction book, but it has, you know, real things going on with the caste system. Nothing happens. Ever. It is a learning tool. This book is not supposed to be a learning tool. It describes on the front cover excitement and suspense. Nothing happens. And then the third one is a movie that just came out a while ago, You Should Have Left. Piece of crap. I'm a suspense guy, I'm a thriller guy, I'm a horror movie guy, and I'm a horror book guy. This book, it has some good points in it, but the motivation, I'm a big motivation guy when it comes to scary books and scary movies. The motivation of the supernatural entities was awful. They had none. They were picking on this lonely white man for no reason. Yes, he may have killed somebody. Okay, maybe he was going to go to hell. Okay, but why just him? Why not everybody that killed people? Awful. It was awful. No motivation. Oh, we got him. We got him. His wife is dead. Bring him over to this house. Bring him over to a house in Switzerland. And trap him in the house and kill him. No, not kill him, sorry. The house is hell now.
So it was.
But wait, it's only,
Tales in the hood
it's only
with
20.
hotels.
It's only 20 people in there, and he only killed one person. Hitler ain't in there.
It sounded like Tales from the Hood with no
It
tails.
is awful, but the movie is spectacular because they changed that part. Yeah. Do you have anything to add as far as what are your hated characters in these books?
Well, I don't necessarily have hated characters in these books, but I have hated characters in general. I think Paris from the Iliad is the worst human to ever walk the face of the earth in literature. Just see, there's so many different iterations of the Iliad, and I think because of the Troy movie, we're most common like put with the one where it's just kind of Paris tries to take the other king's wife. Granted, look, it was the Greeks. Women really didn't have no kind of rights, and that's wrong. So if Helen could have picked who the fuck she wanted to be with, wouldn't have none of these issues.
Mhm.
The thing is, Paris didn't even come up as a prince. He wasn't even like in the family. He was in the family for like 3 weeks. And they find out like, oh no, the king had a son because he was out here wilding because niggas men, we gonna do what we want apparently in the Greeks, especially the Greeks. So he was out here wilding, had a son nobody knew about. Paris come to fruition. A whole bunch of basic niggas find out and say, yo, we gonna take care of him. And then he just proceeds to do everything wrong ever. I'm gonna take another man's wife that my family trying to motherfucking make our allies. I'm gonna take his wife and I'm gonna hold her. What? It is what it is. Then his brother dies for him. And Hector shouldn't even had to fight for him. Nigga knew him for 2 weeks. He went out and fought the baddest nigga on earth for a bum ass little brother, and I'm a little brother. No, yo. No. Fuck Paris. Yo. Nah. And then he get the kill on Achilles? Come on, yo. Just say, yo, be a hoe for life and you can succeed. That's why, nigga, y'all talking about Takashi. Paris was Takashi before Takashi, yo. I'm just saying, yo. Who else did I really fucking hate? I don't know. I just got really heated, so I'm gonna just chill out for a second.
I'm gonna catch a lot of heat for this one. My least favorite character in every book I have ever read, out of all those books, Luke Skywalker. He is trash. He's supposed to be the toughest Jedi, uphold all the values of Jedi. In my favorite book, Star Wars Sacrifice, throws it all out the window just because his wife got killed. The wife that he wasn't supposed to have because Jedis aren't supposed to get married. Then he goes off the deep end and tries to kill his nephew, which was portrayed in the movie a little differently, but he tries to kill his nephew. Gets whooped, which is another reason why he's trash. Didn't even train his nephew all the way. Nephew killed his trainer and then went after the whole family. And Luke, instead of being the Jedi, goes right to Sith stuff. Right away. He is trash. He's not the best Jedi. He's trash. Yoda is the best Jedi. Yoda never slipped. Mentally, physically, ever. And the second hated character I have is Dominic from Teeth of the Tiger. And it's a short one. Dominic from Teeth of the Tiger is every person I hate in real life. A person that's a follower. He just followed order. He was the military. He's the main character. Was a military nephew of Jack Ryan in the book. All he did the entire book was follow orders. Never had a single thought for himself. Every time he had any dialogue, it was, this is what I was told to do. Which is fine if you're a soldier and that's what you believe in. You believe soldiers should just follow orders and do the right thing. But it's not always the right thing. Just following orders. He had no thought of his own. The entire book. But was the main character though. Why? That's all I got is hated characters. Those two got to.
Well, I wanted to talk about one scene specifically because I brought up the book the way we played the game earlier. And there's a scene where a player gets his nose broken. It said this football with no helmets. Somebody get their nose broke today and it's not Ben Roethlisberger. They coming out the game and you ain't seen them for a minute. My man came out the game, shoved a lead pipe up his nose, and just turned it to straighten his nose out and went right back in the game. Thought that was the most gangster shit I had ever read as a kid. Even when I read it now, that's still one of my favorite scenes in any book I've read ever. Do you have any favorite scenes?
Favorite scene has to be in Star Wars Sacrifice because fuck Luke. his nephew who turned on a family, which I'm not gonna give it all away, but he turned on his family. His name was Jason Solo. He took Luke's youngest son with him to train him in the way that he had learned from a Sith. He then kills his master and says, "No, I ain't worried about that. I learned enough." His master's like, "Nah, you learned enough." He says, "Shoom, shoom, dead." He learned enough. Then Luke's wife comes over there like, "No, you can't just take my son. You can't just do this." Woom, woom, dead. Kills her too. He doesn't have time to play any games at all. Then the youngest son sees it and he starts talking shit. Bow. What? Come over here and learn some shit. Some shit. That is the best scene ever because he shows very little emotion except for the cousin. It's his cousin. And he shows emotion for him, but still ends up beating his ass because he's not listening. That's the only person in the book that he cares about. But before then, he slaughters everybody in his sight.
I'm always down for somebody in Star Wars slaughtering everybody. It's fucking kids.
Exactly. Like exactly. No, was that the third one?
Yes.
When Anakin killed all the kids.
I just understood it was war. They was like, yo, if we leave any of them alive, eventually.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, I was definitely like kill all the younglings.
Yeah.
It seems like that's gonna do it for our inaugural episode. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at fudge_bars, capital B, capital Z, and on Instagram at the same thing. You can follow Kevin at.
On Twitter, it's Scotty Get Down, and on Instagram, it's Scotty Get Down with 2 N's and 1.
The number one.
The number 1.
Hope that you enjoyed this and hope that this was a nice taste of what you can expect in the future. Yeah.